Hello Internet, my name is Diehl, and if you recognize my face, it's probably because of my other YouTube channel, Jazz Hands Empty, or my Tumblr, Take You Diehl. The links for both of those will be down there in the description. I've always wanted to talk about this, but I was always scared that my friends, family, and the people I associate with would be disappointed in me as a person. Honestly, when it came to the topic, I was shy. Something my mom came up with a few weeks ago. The fact that she encouraged me to do this is honestly amazing and quite surprising. Shy stood for Stop Hurting Yourself. I didn't really like that name though, because it's not that I wanted to hurt myself, but it was the situations and people around me that made me. I also didn't really like the name because I didn't want to tell people to stop hurting themselves if I myself didn't know if I could stop. But shy was so perfect. So I thought about it and came up with Self-Harm Youth. Shy. I wanted to talk to people like me because if you're like me, then talking to a therapist really isn't an option, and talking to friends and family is kind of impossible too. But one thing that makes me feel better is talking to strangers, and I don't mean that random guy walking down the street. I mean connecting with people who have the same problems as you. Cutting, anorexic, anything like that. Because when you talk to those people who share those things, you feel a sense of confidence and power, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to share my story and get help for myself, but aside from that, I wanted to help the other people who are like me. When I was 12, I cut for the first time. Putting a razor blade to my arm wasn't really that big of a deal, other than the fact that it hurt really bad and blood came out. Being a type 1 diabetic, seeing blood wasn't that big of a deal. I kind of drifted away from that thought because, it was painful and I didn't really have a reason. Of course I had a reason, but it wasn't strong enough where I felt I had to continue. I was reintroduced to the thought of cutting at 13 when one of my friends cut because of something I did. To know that I made them feel a certain way where they would want to cut is really hard. Really, really hard. And now thinking back, knowing that I made someone feel the way that I feel all the time really hurts. In the end of my 13th year and the beginning of my 14th year, I really started cutting. The family situations, the all-around situations, and the fact that I was low on friends, good friends, was really hard for me. My family, take note, have always given me every opportunity and has always been there for me. But I wasn't unhappy with them, I was unhappy with myself. Ever since I was 12, I looked into the mirror and I saw someone that I hated. Someone who wasn't skinny enough, someone who didn't have pretty eyes, and it was hard. To this day, I still look in the mirror and see someone I hate. And if you know me, then you know I'm not one of those people that goes, oh, but tell me I'm pretty, tell me I'm beautiful, tell me I'm this, tell me I'm that. And you also know I'm not someone that goes, oh my gosh, I'm so ugly. I'm always one of those people who are like, wow, you're really beautiful. And honestly, it's not that I wanted someone to tell me I was beautiful. I wanted to be able to look in the mirror and tell myself that I was beautiful and really believe it. Getting back to the story. At the end of my 14th year in December 21st, I believe, I told my mom I was cutting. She was all worried because there were scratches on my wrist. Because before that time, I actually didn't cut on my wrist. It was mainly on my shoulder and on my back because I didn't want anyone to see. No one needed to see that. So the few times I did cut on my wrist, I told my mom that I got cut by the bird cage in the barn. She believed me, and that was really surprising. But why wouldn't she believe me? When I told my mom I had cut, she was concerned and worried, and she cried, but she accepted it, and she said as long as I didn't do it again, that was fine. Later on, a few months later, I was sleeping and My mom came in, and I knew as soon as she touched my arm, I woke straight up, and I knew exactly what was gonna happen. My mom got really mad because she saw the word perfection carved on my arm. She didn't really like that, and she made me sign a contract saying that if I ever did this again, that things would be taken away from me as well as opportunities. Why would I tell her that I cut after having to sign something like that? So I didn't tell her. I hid from her. I cut on my shoulders, I cut on my back. But I didn't do it after a few months because she would check my arms all the time and she would get mad at me, and it wasn't her fault though. Seeing her baby with cuts on her, inflicted, I don't blame her. I kind of got better. I only cut a few times after that. Once a month, once every few weeks. This last summer of 2013 was the worst year I've had. All this spring I was depressed, wanting something more, wanting to sit down and do nothing. I went from a day every couple weeks wanting to sit there and just cry and sit by myself to weeks on end being depressed, to months just sitting there wanting to think and be alone and having a monotone, sleepy child. I knew I had to go and work, but I didn't want to, but I'd force myself to anyways because I knew that that was the only way I'd be able to hide it, was to carry on. This summer was the worst because I had hit a point where I not only didn't want to do anything, but I didn't want to be around anymore. That was really hard. Not wanting to breathe, not wanting to think, not wanting to be in existence. I started going to see a counselor after I begged my mom for help. I admitted to her that I was in a horrible place and I needed help. And there was nothing that I could do or she could do or anyone could do, but I needed help. I needed medication. I needed something. So we went to a counselor, and the lady was amazing, talking to someone who I didn't know was the most liberating thing. I could pour out my heart and know that she wouldn't judge me. I stopped seeing that counselor, and after using some tools from her, I got better. Recently, I kind of fell back in the hole. I could feel myself wilting into nothing. Feel myself wanting to just give up again. Even now, still now, each day, I kind of want to give up. And I can feel myself falling into a hole again. I don't know how good or bad it's going to be, if I'm going to be able to get myself out, or if I'm going to need help again. I don't know. And that's why I'm posting this. That's why I'm talking to all of you about this. Because I don't think you realize how many people are out there begging for help, but no one hears them. Because if you know me, then you know how happy and joyous I am, but inside I'm dying and I am just killing myself from the inside out. I made a Tumblr about a week ago, and the first post that I made was about cutting. About 10 posts later, I made another post about cutting, and that post got 650 plus notes, which, if you're not familiar with Tumblr, a note is a like or a reblog. And to know that 650 plus people were feeling the exact same way that I was, that was my turning point. That's where I stopped and I said, I need to do something, if not for myself, but for those 650 plus people. And that's why I'm here today. And that's why I decided to make Shy official, because I didn't want other people to be in the situation I have, and I don't want to be in the situation that other people who have, because a lot of times those people in those situations end up 6 feet in the ground. I'm not begging for help, and I'm not begging for attention. If I wanted attention, I'd post nudes or do something of that nature, but I'm not. I want to seek help through the youth, the people who need my help as much as I need theirs. If you are a friend, a family member, or a stranger to me, and you have watched all of this, thank you. You don't know how much it means to me that you took the time out of your day to watch my video about my problems. If there's anything I would ask, it is please subscribe to this YouTube channel, as well as like this video and share this, because by sharing this video you might be helping someone like me. I've watched a lot of videos on self-harm in the past couple weeks. It has made me see a lot. If someone could see this video, maybe that would help them. Maybe I could be someone that they could talk to, and vice versa. Thank you. And I hope you will support Shy and self-harm youth, and know that we're not freaks, and that we're not weird, emotional people, but we're just youth that deal with things a little bit differently than you. I don't kick and scream, and I don't show anything but a smile, but I do paint my wrists and my shoulders and other parts of my body with a razor blade. Please don't judge me as well, because I don't really want that. But yeah, thank you. And like I said, like and subscribe. If you want to see my Tumblr posts, they're encouraging, depressing, and one of those things where you're just like, oh yeah. So also you can check out my other YouTube channel, which is Jazz Hands MT, which is featured on this YouTube channel. So thank you, and I love you all, and thank you for watching this if you have. So bye now. Yeah, it's still going.